Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, it's the calm before the storm. Switch will be revealed on Thursday, and it's our last chance to make predictions. Before we have anything to base them on. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, joined as always by my co-host Mark Mitchell.
Hey, Patrick, how's it going?
Going all right, Mark. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good. We just both kind of had our minds blown a few minutes earlier.
Oh, yeah. If you haven't seen this, I mean, it is blowing up on the internet.
Yeah, just in the last couple of hours. This is hot news.
Oh, yeah. The hottest.
Yeah.
Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo. Turns out you can take out one of those giant ghosts in a ghost house by sliding down the stairs and running into them.
Yeah.
It's tough to set up.
It is. We had to work to try it out.
Mark, how many lives did we lose trying to do this?
I mean, 3.
I think 4.
4. 2 were definitely me just performing poorly.
And the other 2 were me definitely performing poorly.
Yeah, but you at least got to the big boo, and I just struggled to get there.
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, I pulled it off. I'm the hero in this story, for sure.
But so there's a Tumblr blog called Supper Mario Broth, and they post all these cool things, and this one just blew up, and it's
pretty
blowing
cool.
the internet's mind.
Why do you think it's so mind blowing that here's a new thing about Super Mario World?
I think it's just that.
Yeah.
We've been playing this game for 20, 25 years at this point.
Yeah.
And 25 years.
20. I mean, it's 2017 now, so 26 years. Yeah. Came out in 91.
Sure, but I mean, it didn't come out January 1st.
It came out
1991.
January 1st.
But I understand your point. I'm just being pedantic.
So was I.
Yeah. So I think that's why it's big. It's because hey, we've played this game for most of our lives.
That's right.
Over and over and over.
Right.
And none of us realize this.
To the point where we've all gotten all the exits multiple times. How many times do you think you've played through Super Mario World?
I don't even know.
Uncountable, right?
Yeah, I couldn't even tell you.
Yeah.
I think after Super Mario Brothers 3, it's probably the game I've played the most.
To completion?
Just hours put into it.
Oh, okay. I don't think it would win for hours played for me, but almost certainly number of times through, for sure. We just pulled off this slide and kill the ghost on my 3DS, and the save file that we opened to do that was the one that I was doing just recently over the Christmas holidays when I flew to Colorado and I got stuck in the LA airport overnight. And that's how I passed the time overnight, was just playing through Super Mario World and pretending not to exist. Because, man, otherwise you're just in that United terminal and it's just not great, man. Mark, should we talk about the weather? The weather, it's rainy, but not as cold.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I don't really have much else to add.
No, I mean, there's not a lot to add. It has actually been raining a fair amount. The river, the LA River, which is really normally more of just a concrete basin, it has water in it, has a current. People get rescued from that thing every time it rains.
Yeah. Dangerous to be in there.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't go into the river.
Don't go into the river.
Mark, I like to think, a lot of what we do, I think, is just us messing around, talking Nintendo. These are good tips. This is a good life tip.
Yeah.
Stay out of the LA River.
Yeah.
It's dangerous. The debug, Mark. Let's talk about the big mistake from last week.
This one's bad. I feel bad about this.
I mean, I'm embarrassed. I feel like maybe we hurt some of our listeners, and fans. I think I don't know how I'm gonna talk to my parents about this,
and I feel like the failure was on my part.
No, I mean it's something that we do together, and we didn't do it together. Last, jeez, last week.
I'm with you. It's okay.
Okay,
Be
thank you.
strong.
Thank you. Last week when we went to say our email address, God, it's so hard. We didn't say at gmail.com at the same time.
Just once.
It just happened once, but like
And these things are bound to happen. I mean, we're not perfect.
no, I mean I know we're not perfect, but like, you know, you always want to be better than like you want to be better than your father was, you know what I mean?
No, absolutely.
And they're just, man, you see everyone else's mistakes and you're like, not me. Not me. But that's the only thing we did wrong last time. So
other than that, it was perfect.
other than that, it was
we knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, it was a good one. Mark, do you want to just do that episode again?
Should we just play it from now?
That would be good. Mark, what have you been playing this week?
Been playing some Metroid Other M.
Okay, yeah, me
I was
too.
about to call it Super Metroid, so it just came out as like Smetroid.
Smetroid, Super Metroid Other M. What do you think that would be? You think that would be like a 16-bit demake of Metroid Other M?
Yeah, sure.
Someone get working on
that.
Yeah, we have been playing Metroid Other M together as part of our play along series, which if you're subscribing to this podcast should already be popping up in your podcast feed as we speak. On Thursday, this coming Thursday is our first like real episode after a chunk of gameplay.
Yeah, so we played through the first, what I would consider like boss in Sector 1, and it's 2 like worm thingies. You'll know when you see it.
They have names, and Mark identifies them by name.
They're unpronounceable. I try to identify them by name, but they have glowing orbs on them. You'll know when you see them. And we play up to that point, and then we spend a little bit of time talking about what we experienced, and then next week there's like another chunk, and so on and so forth.
And if you're concerned if maybe it's been a couple of years since you played this game, or you've never played it, I think it's still fun to listen to. We do a pretty good job of setting everything up before we inevitably complain about it. So it's not like totally out of, you know, you're not going to be left in the dark if you're not actually playing along, but also play along because it's fun to play games.
Yeah, and I think that even though it's not the best game, it can be had for pretty cheap now. And it has interesting ideas that kind of get overshadowed by all the like justifiable complaints about it.
Yeah.
And so if you just approach it as you're going in to experience it for the experience, you know, I think it's like worthwhile because the ideas that it has, even if it doesn't accomplish them, they don't really get engaged with because it's just kind of shunted aside as being terrible. When we're discussing the game, I mean.
Yes, I agree with that completely. And we'll get into all of those points, what it does well, what it does poorly, what it attempts to do, what we wish it would do, all of that over the course of, you know, 6 or whatever hours eventually when all things are told. So Mark, that's one thing that we're playing. I'm still playing Super Mario Run every day.
Toad Rush?
Toad Rally. Yep.
Toad Rally.
Toad Rally.
That tells you how much I've been playing Super
So you've been
Mario
playing
Run.
a lot. Sarah recently maxed out her toads. She's got the 9999. Yeah, so I've got to catch up. And
how many do you have?
Over 8,000 at this point.
That's impressive.
Yeah, thank you. I feel impressive, despite our failure saying at gmail.com together.
Why dwell on the past?
You're right. I am, you know, within a week of getting maxed out toads, and at that point though, I don't know if I keep playing.
Yeah,
I don't know why I would. All they have to do is introduce like bananas into Toad Rally, and then let me buy like Donkey Kong's house with it, and then I'm back in. That's all they need to do. Mark, anything else you've been playing, or?
Nope, that's pretty much been it right now.
Hey, let's move on into the news.
So this is not strictly Nintendo related, but Awesome Games Done Quick is going on this week. If you're not familiar with it, it's a fundraiser that happens twice. Well, Games Done Quick is a fundraiser that happens twice a year. There's Awesome Games Done Quick in the winter, and then Summer Games Done Quick in the summer.
Right, and it's just like the speedrunning community, playing, twitching, streaming games, and if you've never like checked one of these out before, it's like the weirdest way anyone could ever play a video game. It's usually based in people breaking the game as best they can, to get through it. Like you'll see people beat Ocarina of Time in like 18 minutes, doing like fighting Ganon as young Link with just a Deku stick. Like it's crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like, because there are the people who there are different types of runs, and you'll see them all throughout. Like, there's ones where they can't like glitch or use bugs or anything, and so like people who are just insanely good at Super Mario Brothers 3, just insanely good at these at like Tetris, like just crazy. The amount of hours, like the skill that people develop and put into it is so impressive. And it's also raises money for a good cause every time. This time it's for Prevent Cancer Foundation.
Great.
You can check it out at gamesdonequick.com. You can donate there. It's really cool. It's 24 hours a day for like a week, and there's a schedule online so you can see when like a game that you're interested in is being played, and all the streams get posted, like all the games get posted on YouTube like the next day, and there's incentives for donations. It's really cool. It's like one of it's a really cool event that gets put on twice a year, and they like raise like $1 million every time, so it's really awesome.
And the all of the teams putting on the speedruns for Awesome Games Done Quick and Summer Games Done Quick do a really good job of having like one person be their kind of like point guy for explaining exactly how they're accomplishing everything they're accomplishing. So like even the glitchier runs, they'll tell you how they're doing it and like what's impressive or interesting about how they're approaching the game, or like what new exploits they're using that had never been used before. It's for as like into the weeds and specific as it is, they do a really good job of welcoming you in. Over the summer I watched there was a speed run of Sonic the Hedgehog, the really bad like 2006, yeah. And I've never played that game before. It's a notoriously bad game, but I watched these guys play it for an hour and a half because they're explaining every single step of it. It's super fun, super engaging.
Yeah, one that I thought was really cool that I think it was also from last summer Games Done Quick was Super Metroid 2 people 1 controller.
Oh, cool.
So they like these 2 speedrunners, work together. One was on the D-pad and the other one was on like the face buttons of the controller.
Yeah,
and
that's great.
Like had to work together to make it through Super Metroid, and it was still a speed run on top of everything else. And then earlier this week there's a really cool Shovel Knight head-to-head speed run. It's like really exciting. It's great. Like I really recommend people check it out. Again, that's like gamesdonequick.com.
Cool.
I'm excited for this. Dragon Quest VIII preload is now available on the 3DS.
Oh my god.
So the game comes out on January 20th. And I don't know what to do because I still have Dragon Quest VII sitting there.
Mark, let me ask you this.
Uh-huh.
Have you fought a battle in Dragon Quest VII yet?
No, I haven't opened up Dragon I haven't had time to open up Dragon Quest VII. I have preloaded Dragon Quest VIII. Now, Dragon Quest VII is I think people are saying it's like 100 hours to beat the main story. And that feels very daunting at this moment, being that I have not fought a battle in Dragon Quest VII. So I'm thinking, even though I made the promise to myself that I will beat 7 before I play 8, I think I may just play 8 first and then come back to 7.
Remind me, have you played 8 before?
Yes.
Okay. So all of these games are just revisits.
Not
for
7.
you. Not 7.
Not 7 would be brand new.
Interesting.
But I really love 8.
Sure.
So I don't know what to do. I mean, I bought it.
Is it like normal retail game price?
Mm-hmm.
And is it a big download or?
Yeah, it's like 25,000 blocks, a little less than 25,000.
Okay, that's a lot.
It's really a great game. In fact, if you have time for an RPG, specifically Patrick,
Me?
but also anybody who's listening, and you've never played Dragon Quest before, or you have, but not a lot, or you know what? It's one of those where I'm just basically saying everybody should play Dragon Quest VIII.
I feel like we are reaching a point like right before Dragon Quest becomes like super relevant again.
It's hard to tell.
It is hard to tell.
I feel like it's either one of those things where, like social media can be an echo chamber. So it's like, oh, people I follow also like Dragon Quest, so everybody seems to be excited about Dragon Quest. I feel like it's like Mad Max Fury Road. Like, yeah, Mad Max Fury Road did like well in theaters, but in my circle of friends, it was like, this movie's amazing.
Right.
And everywhere else was just like, okay.
Right. It's another Mad Max movie.
Yeah.
30 years later.
Like, based on my like small sampling, you would think everybody had seen this movie at least once. Like, everybody in the world had seen this movie at least once. But then you break outside of that and you realize,
let alone 3 times opening weekend.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how I feel like how Dragon Quest is, where it's like, I can't tell if the gaming population at large is more excited in the West is more excited about Dragon Quest, or if it's just like I follow people who have similar interests as me and they're all excited about it.
Well, I think didn't builders chart on like the PlayStation charts, sales charts?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Well, maybe this is just a time will tell sort of thing, but I get the feeling that there's just more Dragon Quest stuff happening now.
Yeah, no, I agree
before.
with you. It does feel like it's in there more than usual, or like more than it has been in the past.
Sure.
I guess what I'm saying is that we are continuing, is that I'm just more skeptical, which seems to be appropriate for our dynamic, in which you are optimistic and accept things, and I'm like, maybe
it's not. I'm sorry, that was a hurtful impression.
No. Entirely accurate. Voice and all. Okay, so persistent rumors that Koei Tecmo is working on another Warriors game for Switch using a new Nintendo IP. So there was...
That's interesting. So when you say
Hyrule Warriors.
Yeah,
Warriors. Like one of those like... there's a more technical term for it that I cannot pronounce. It's like MUSOU, something like that.
Oh, like a mush-up or something like that?
Sure.
Like
I don't know how to say it. That's why I just said Warriors game.
Like the Dynasty Warriors game.
Yes, exactly. Like Hyrule Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
So the rumor is that they're making another game like that, but it is not the Zelda IP, and another one that was like, or that people were like, maybe it was Star Fox, but it's supposedly not Star Fox, not Zelda, something else.
Star Fox would be a weird choice, right?
Yeah.
Would you do like a dog fighting in space? Not like dogs, but like spaceships.
There are like mech.
That's a good point.
Warrior games.
Interesting.
So it would be potentially possible, but all irrelevant because the rumor is that it is not Star Fox. But yes, I don't know. Maybe like Mushroom Kingdom Warriors.
Mushroom Kingdom Warriors would be hilarious.
Like a bunch of like Goombas.
Yeah,
just like
so
fields and fields of Goombas.
And your generals are like the Koopalings.
Yeah.
What else would be good for that? Splatoon.
Yeah,
could be really cool.
Donkey Kong.
Like Donkey Kong Country style?
I mean,
in the style of Donkey Kong Country, I
sure.
mean. Yeah.
Like Donkey Kong 64, but there's just tons and tons and tons of
apes?
Enemies. Yeah.
Just a bunch of apes.
Apes fighting apes.
This is madness. Pikmin, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
That would be a weird like franchise to staple to the Warriors franchise, like for a signal boost. You know?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we won't have to wait that long to find out.
Maybe we won't.
That was first reported by Obi-Wan Plays on YouTube.
Kirby. What about Kirby?
Sure, I would play that.
I don't know what like an army of like Kirby's allies. Who would that even be?
Yeah, or enemies for that matter.
Yeah, they're all just little Waddle Dees.
Yeah. Yeah. So obviously the big Switch presentation is this Thursday
Woo.
at 8 p.m. Pacific time.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like launch stock is going to be thin, which is not entirely surprising.
Yeah.
So Go Nintendo is reporting that GameStops are being allocated between 20 and 30 per location for launch.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like 20 per store minimum, 30 per store maximum. And
Do we know, like, as a point of comparison, what the what GameStops were getting for the NES Classics?
No, or
number-wise?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Um,
Certainly less than that.
probably
Or fewer than that.
yeah,
for sure.
But the general message seems to be if you want one on, which is not really surprising, but if you want one on launch day, pre-order as soon as they're available,
Right.
which everybody's expecting to be on Friday.
I've read conflicting reports that either on Friday or as soon as the
Presentation's
the
over
presentation
on
is
Thursday
over
night.
on Thursday. Yeah.
Well, or I think they mean, well, that may be true for like online, but at that point it seems
sure,
like
they're
for
all
like
closed.
stores,
Yeah.
I even though it won't be like, I don't think it'll be like an NES Classic Edition where you are just not able to find one.
And never able to find one.
Yeah,
ever.
like obviously Nintendo is going to be replenishing Switches as fast as possible. Unlike where the NES Classic Edition, it seems like they made pretty much just a chunk of them and then trickled out a few more.
Right.
They're planning to sell this for the long term. So,
The Switch is the future. The NES Classic is
like a one-off
Yeah.
almost. So even if you're not able to get one at launch, stores will be getting regular shipments of them, so not like the NES Classic Edition. But yeah, if you want one day one, which I do, so I am planning on trying to pre-order one, maybe not through GameStop, but somewhere.
yeah, I will also be doing whatever it takes.
So the NES Classic Edition has been hacked to easily add more games onto the device.
That's kind of neat, right?
Yeah.
And it can be done. It looks like fairly easily, just with a regular USB, like the same cable that you have it hooked up to your power source. That you can just download some stuff and upload some ROMs onto it. And it looks like the interface is still the same for selecting games.
Yeah, it looks like what they were able to do was, you can like drop in the games and it just, I don't know if you also have to add the like image files.
Yeah, or if it just knows them somehow.
Yeah, but either way, you can make it look like it
Yeah,
is just part of the NES Classic, which is pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. I like the little Famicom Classic wrinkle to this. That like within the structure of the thing, there's a little message to would-be hackers that are like trying to change the infrastructure of the machine. And the message reads, "This is the Hanafuda captain speaking. Launching emulation in 3, 2, 1. Many efforts, tears, and countless hours have been put into this jewel. So please keep this place tidied up and don't break anything. Cheers, the Hanafuda captain."
Yeah, it's like in the source code of
Yeah.
of the Famicom Classic.
And Hanafuda referring to the like playing cards that Nintendo used to make before they were a software and hardware company.
Nobody's found anything like that in the NES Classic Edition, it looks like, yet, but maybe there's something in there.
Yeah, and I mean maybe American pirates were like, who cares? Let's just change the software. There's a message here, but I don't want to read it.
So also today, frequent Nintendo collaborator Platinum Games had their big budget Xbox One exclusive Scalebound canceled.
Yeah. Platinum, has been doing a lot with Nintendo the last couple of years. They had developed Bayonetta for them exclusively, and they also developed that Star Fox game that nobody liked.
And the Wonderful 101.
And Wonderful 101, that's right. And Scalebound was supposed to be a big game, right? And then just today, Microsoft said, hey, we don't want this anymore.
Yeah, news is kind of slowly beginning to trickle out, and it sounds like maybe Platinum kind of got screwed by Xbox. or by
Yeah.
Microsoft.
Mhm.
That seems to be the word that's kind of leaking out after the fact. And it would be really so Platinum is not a huge studio, and they have been mostly like a third party developer, and so it really stink to see them close because of this,
Right.
because that has to be a huge financial hit.
I can't. I mean, I was gonna say I can't imagine, but I can imagine many things. But I can't imagine that this will shut them down, right? Like, even if they've been developing Scalebound for a long time, they have been developing all of these other games sort of in tandem, and I guess none of them have really knocked it out of the park or been super successful. They did that Ninja Turtle game last summer, which was mostly panned and I don't think sold very well. Um, and there was like a Transformers game a couple months before that.
Yeah, they've just had to take a lot of like licensed titles,
Yeah,
which for such a high profile developer is not great news.
right.
No, I don't know necessarily that it'll like shut them down, but it certainly doesn't do like you had this massive AAA game that was being funded by Microsoft, and then what do you do with all of the developers that were working on that you no longer can pay?
Yeah,
Like it seems like something's gonna have to give. So hopefully it'd be great to see more projects given to Platinum, because it's a very talented group of folks, especially when they're not forced to do like Korra,
right.
because that game was also
Notoriously bad.
yeah.
Sort of the low watermark for them, right? Um, Man, what do you think? Like, what kind of shape must this game have been in for Microsoft to say, you know what? Stop working on this.
I mean, who knows? Because it's also hard to say, like, even if the game was in rough shape and based on all of its showings at game shows previously, it was in fairly rough shape. It's impossible to know what's behind that,
Yeah.
right? Because if Microsoft wasn't interested in developing Scalebound, or they stopped becoming interested, and so but didn't want to cancel it outright for whatever like contractual reasons, they could make developing the game incredibly difficult. And so, like they could put impossible benchmarks for the developers to hit,
Yeah.
right? And then be like, hey, you didn't hit these impossible benchmarks, so we're shutting you down or we're not paying you. There's way to like choke it out of existence.
Right.
But so like
effectively they were just like,
so I don't know that it's fair to say like that they canceled it because the game was bad or that it was like showing rough at trade shows, because we don't know why it was in the state that it was in. And it's entirely possible that I guess it's entirely possible that like Platinum just really messed up on it, but everything coming out in the aftermath of this makes it seem like Microsoft set them up for failure.
Intrigue.
But it kind of makes sense, because when you look at Microsoft's what they're doing with their game division in general, they're moving to games as services.
Right.
So it's like this single player, like Scalebound, it doesn't fit into their idea of make one game and have that be a revenue stream, forever.
Yeah, I just wonder, like the sort of model that's held up there as like the thing that they could or should be striving towards is, Minecraft, of course, because they purchased it. They now own Minecraft. But like Minecraft is a once in a lifetime like phenomenon, right?
That's true, but think of games like Destiny or
Sure.
like Overwatch, where they've made one investment and it pays off over time, right? Like Overwatch, however much they spent developing it, that game will continue to exist for years,
Right.
and they will only have to add new content instead of building an entirely new game from scratch, which is so much cheaper. And they can get so much more revenue that way, versus like, okay, we're going to build up Scalebound, spend maybe like $60 million doing it, and then hope it sells well, and then we're gonna maybe do a Scalebound 2, which is also going to be enormously expensive.
See, so like that kind of thinking makes sense to me for like a software developer. Like what Blizzard doing that makes sense, but like Microsoft trying to cultivate like a gaming ecosystem, I feel like you need to have like that variety of games. And I guess maybe that you can just count on like the AAA sphere, the like third party developers to get those like one-off sort of experiences out of, you know, like Ubisoft or whoever.
Sure, I mean, also look at, like you said, they bought Minecraft,
Mm-hmm.
and Minecraft is enormously successful. So if I'm sitting at Xbox corporate headquarters and I'm looking at it purely financially, it's like, why am I chasing these, you know, potential hits like Scalebound when it's like, why aren't we just doing Minecraft?
Right, but they are doing Minecraft.
No, but it's like, yeah, so it's like, well,
like,
let's
Mark,
just do another
hold,
Minecraft.
hold on a second, Mark.
Should we be
Why,
doing Minecraft?
well, yeah, why aren't we doing Minecraft?
Isn't that what we're doing right now?
Do you think this is Minecraft?
I mean, I've never played it.
I've never played it either, but I assume that this is not.
Minecraft makes me feel so old
It makes me feel so old
because
too.
I look at it and it's so unappealing to
yeah,
me.
I'm like, no, thank you.
Yeah,
I don't want to chop at blocks and
but people
collect
love
wood.
It.
Why? I don't know. Okay, we'll get someone on at some point to explain Minecraft to
It'll
us.
have to be like 12.
Okay.
You
You and I will have to be 12?
for us to understand / enjoy it.
This is going to be a tough episode to produce.
Finally, Crunchyroll revealed this week that the most watched anime on Wii U and Wii consoles. The Wii U top 3 is Cute High Earth Defense Club Love! ! That's all one.
Is that the Beatles Cirque du Soleil show?
Space Patrol Luluco and Ace Attorney. Oh, okay, Ace Attorney. There
that
we
makes
go.
sense. Okay.
The Wii top 3 is Dream Festival! ! Yuri! ! On ice, all caps. And then Cute High Earth Defense Club Love! ! And I mostly just put this in here. Look, I watch anime, but I mostly put this in here so I could say those titles. I've
Uh-huh.
never heard of any of these other than Ace Attorney, but
I've heard of Yuri on Ice. It's supposed to be a very well animated
oh,
show.
I've heard of Yuri on Ice too, just like in tweets and stuff.
Right. We should watch some Yuri on Ice after this. No? You just said you watch anime. I think it's interesting that Crunchyroll has these this very specific set of information.
Yeah, I think it's cool. They did release it for all the platforms,
Yeah.
so they had it for PlayStation and Xbox. I didn't bother to look at those though.
No, well, those are not. Even though we just talked about Microsoft for a little bit.
In the context of Nintendo,
Yeah, of course. We were talking about Nintendo the whole time. What do you know about this? The Cute High.
I mean
Defense
nothing. I
Club
know nothing
Love.
about it. I know nothing about any of these.
All right, great.
Uh,
What do we got for new releases this week, Mark?
so not a lot.
We're in the dead zone.
We are in the dead zone.
And I expect to be in the dead zone mostly. Obviously, Dragon Quest will be coming out.
Yeah,
And Yoshi,
Poochie.
Poochie and Yoshi's Woolly World will be coming out. But other than those two, I think we're in the dead zone until March.
Very low expectations.
Very low.
So the only one I could find for this week is on the eShop, releasing on Thursday. It's called Shift DX.
Any idea what that is?
Yeah, so in 2008 it was like released, and I think it was originally just like a Flash game, but it has continued on, and this is the first time that it's on a Nintendo platform. But it's a puzzle game, and it's in stark black and white,
Okay.
and you can rotate the screen, and in doing so it's like a puzzle platformer. Like you kind of have to find a way to escape each level, and the reason it's called Shift is that you can like rotate the screen like 90 degrees,
Yeah.
and in doing so it like changes you like the way that you can platform.
Okay. So does like changing the gravity?
Yeah,
of
like
it?
the
Okay.
and like the landscape. And so it's like, oh, so before, you know, it was like right side up, and now it's upside down, and so now you can climb over it.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Did you ever play? So it's like rotating on like on like a flat plane. Did
Yes.
you ever play Fez?
No.
So Fez has a similar mechanic, except instead of like rotating the plane, it's like rotating a cube. And so like if there are platforms on like the other side of the tower, you can rotate the world around until you get to like reveal those platforms. It's a really trippy game, and I was not very good at getting my head around it.
There was another platformer or like another one of these like puzzle games that I think was released on WiiWare where uh you're like you're a shadow
Mm-hmm.
and the shadow cast by like the world is what you are platforming on. So you have to
Oh, cool.
like where like the light source is, I think like depends like determines how you like solve the puzzle because you have to make the shadows line up in order for you to
Yeah.
like traverse the world. I can't remember what it maybe like I can't remember what it's called. I want to say like Into Shadows, but that doesn't seem right. But I think it was on WiiWare.
Well, cool. This is not that game. This is
This is not that game.
this is a different game that is neither of the games that we've just described. Mark, let's move on out of the news. Now it's time for a regular segment on our show. It's 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So for the duration of one performance of 433, Mark and I will not use our instruments. We will not talk about Nintendo, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. So I'm going to start this recording here. There's a little applause up front as the audience welcomes the conductor to the stand. Mark, I'd like to talk about award shows.
Hit me.
Okay, so the Golden Globes, Hollywood, Foreign Press, honoring Hollywood, movies and TV. They were on last night. And I just thought we should talk a little bit. Like, do you watch these things when they're on? Did you watch the Golden Globes?
No, I didn't.
Last
Did
night.
you?
I watched some of it. I find most award shows to be overly long, obviously. I feel like that's a common complaint, but also like mostly pointless.
100%.
The shows themselves. And then I also find myself like getting mad about the winners every year because nothing I want to win ever wins. I remember watching the Emmys for like 5 years in a row being like, when's Amy Poehler gonna win this thing? And I should have just known she's never gonna win the thing. So you and I were pretty negative on the video game awards, the Game Awards.
Mhm.
What is it called?
I think Game Awards.
I think Game Awards. But I think we can just apply that same like idea to all award shows, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's definitely not the Game Awards specifically that are awful.
It's just all award shows.
Pretty much.
What do you think they could do to make an award show like fun or engaging? Or do you have any like memories of an award show that you did like, or even like a host that you liked, or anything like that?
I don't think any award show should be televised.
No award show should be televised.
Yeah.
None. Academy Awards. Next time, we'll just when Billy Crystal dies, we'll say that's it. The award show dies with him.
I mean, I just don't understand the point.
That sounds respectful, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was 100% respect. I mean, good for you.
Thank
That
you.
was very respectful
Thank you,
towards
thank
Billy
you.
Crystal. America's most beloved living Oscars host.
Who would trump him otherwise?
Bob Hope, if
Oh,
you're
okay.
counting dead people.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't televise. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't televise award shows. And we have no vested interest. I don't care who Hollywood thinks is the best movie. Not even like I don't care what a bunch of the Hollywood Press, Foreign Press Association, whatever that means.
Right, or the Academy of Motion Picture Sciences, who they when they think Leonardo DiCaprio should win an acting award.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't like it has no bearing on me.
Let me ask you this: do you ever fill out like Oscar predictions or go to like an Oscar viewing party? I feel like those like parties are most common specifically for the Academy Awards, right?
Yeah, that seems right.
That no one really throws like a. I mean, I'm sure people who have like shows that are nominated for stuff, they actually hold Emmy parties and whatnot. But like, it's really just the Academy Awards that bring people together, right?
I mean, I think the Golden Globes of all the award shows seems to get it the most right for the people that are there.
because they're drinking.
Exactly.
Right.
So it's just like a big like party, whereas the Academy Awards are very quote unquote unimportant.
But are so stuffy and so boring.
Well, and again, like, why is it important? It's Hollywood congratulating themselves
Right.
on a job well done.
Do you think we should be televising more big Hollywood parties and just throw out the award show?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay.
Like as pay-per-view events.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, that would be fun. You could even like pay for different levels of party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if you want just like the Upright Citizens Brigade New Year's Eve party,
Right.
they can make that happen for, I don't know, $10.
It'd be I mean, yeah.
Like, just include it in your CISO subscription.
That's actually a great idea for a CISO show. It's just like a live cam of the party. And you know, if you want to see Leonardo DiCaprio and Martin Scorsese doing coke, that's going to cost you more money.
Yeah,
That's a different program.
absolutely.
All right, Mark. I feel like we've covered this topic now.
Pretty thoroughly.
So I'm going to skip us ahead to the applause. We've never done this before. Wonderful.
How long was that 433?
It was about 4 minutes and 33 seconds.
Well, there we go.
We were accompanied by the Victoria Symphony under the baton of Tanya Miller. Mark, let's move on to our big topic for the week. Big topic is Switch announcement presentation happening this Thursday, the 12th, 8 p.m. We got to make some predictions about this. This is our last chance, Mark.
This is our last chance to put it in the book.
Yes, in that book. We haven't touched the book in a while.
Should we have a friendly wager, like who gets the most right?
Yes, we should.
Great.
What are we? What is at stake? What are the stakes here?
$1 million.
Okay, for $1 million, we have each prepared 4 predictions.
Mhm.
And
Only 3 are the same.
right. So 3 in the same category.
In the same category.
So price, release date, launch lineup, and then a wild card prediction. And then beyond that, we have 4 wish list items, which can be as crazy as we want them to be. Okay? And whoever gets the most of these right owes the other $1 million.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Friendly wager.
Friendly wager.
Okay. So
No, for launch titles, are we
yes.
doing first party only?
I have sort of a pessimistic view of the launch
Oh,
lineup.
okay.
So let's do this. Let's start with price.
Okay.
Okay. I actually maybe have a pessimistic view of a lot of things here. And I hope it doesn't cost me $1 million.
All right. I'll go first on price.
Go first on price.
I'm saying $249
Mm-hmm.
as the starter pack, and then a SKU for $300 that has like maybe a pack in or a more memory or something like that.
I'm saying 1 SKU, nothing, no different like pack-ins or like it does come with a pack-in is my prediction. $349.
You are crazy.
I'm
Are you talking
saying
Canadian dollars?
No, US dollars, USD. I think they're gonna go high. I think it's gonna be expensive, but it'll also come with the dock and that little like anchor thing.
Yeah.
For the Joy-Cons.
Man, I'm seeing dollar signs in my eyes. There's no. I think you're crazy. I think there's no way it's over 300.
I think I think it's on the high side. I think 249 is probably too low.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because they got to make money on the thing, on selling the thing, and uh, Nintendo hardware. I mean, what is a new Nintendo 3DS right now costs $200. So this has got to be appreciably better tech than that. And by just $50, I think it's got to be at least 300.
So the Nintendo 3DS at this point is running on like at least 5-year-old technology.
Mm-hmm.
So to charge $200 for it just means the Nintendo's making a really tidy profit on each unit sold.
Sure.
So I expect when the Switch launches at $249 that we will also see a simultaneous 3DS price drop, possibly to $100.
I mean, we sort of did just see that, except they're not available anywhere.
Right, with the Black Friday,
Right.
like Mario Black and White
Mm-hmm.
3DS, new 3DSs.
Which were $99.
Yeah, I think that is what we're going to see as the standard price point. Maybe the XLs being $150,
Sure.
and then the Switch will be $100 more than that. Because I agree that at $200 for the 3DS is pretty crazy at
Mhm.
this point. That's what they're selling it for. I mean, good for them, but I don't think there's any way when the Switch launches that they're able to sustain that price. Because I mean, by your same logic, like during the holidays, pretty regularly right now, you can get a brand new PS4 Slim for $250.
Oh yeah, no, I know this. I do think that Nintendo's pricing for the Switch will be whatever it is. Will not take into consideration the pricing on the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One. I feel like it's its own thing and it's being priced however Nintendo like deems it appropriate.
Sure. I mean, I guess my point was more that like to say that I see what you're saying. Because my point was more that, if people are comparing value at this point, they can get a PS4 for $250, and that usually includes at least one packing game versus a 3DS for $200.
Yeah.
Right. So like as a strict value proposition, it for a lot of people it probably makes more sense to buy a PS4.
Right.
And
I'm just saying Nintendo will not be compared
right
to anyone.
that would be very interesting. I think if they go over 300, that feels like the 3DS launch to me, where it's and I don't think I think they are going to sell it for a profit, but I don't think they can afford to be that aggressive with the pricing. They have to sell as many of these as they possibly can.
I agree. But I also think that fervor for this thing is as high now as it's going to be.
100% agree. But if they really mess things up on Thursday, by like
Friday,
by the price being like crazy, by Friday, I think at $349, you have a lot of people who would buy this
second guessing.
Being people who are like excited about it and who maybe hadn't bought a Nintendo console recently, but were like, oh yeah, for $249. I mean, at $200, this thing's a no-brainer. So I think at $249, it's very compelling. I don't know. We'll see. That would be interesting if they go over 300. I'll be very surprised.
And obviously, I don't want it.
Sure. No.
No.
You're a mean person. This is what you're wishing on the world.
I just want I know I can afford that, and I think other people might not be able to as easily. So it's just I want it there.
I mean, I guess like the weird thing with pricing is that at launch they could 100% sell these things for like $400,
and in fact, scalpers will do this.
And the Nintendo faithful will buy it at $400, but it's like what happens after that.
Yeah,
and as much as we've like talked about how I don't believe that Nintendo artificially makes their items scarce, their products scarce, they certainly, I'm sure they enjoyed the publicity that comes with, their products being sold out.
Right. So the next item on our list here is launch date. I'll go first on this one.
Okay.
I say Friday, March 17th is my launch date.
Okay, so I also have it pegged at the 17th.
Okay.
Was waffling between the 17th and the 24th, but yeah, I think 17th is what
That's
it'll come down to.
we can make the same guess.
Yeah,
I
I think
that's
so.
okay.
Yeah.
Um, do you have any like anything behind that, or is
Not
it
really. I just
kind
like
of a
looked at
random
I
date?
just looked at the calendar and
Yeah,
it was
me
like
too.
that makes sense. I don't know why. Just
Uh,
instinctual. It just like makes sense.
I like the idea of it being a Friday release. That's where NES Classic came out on a Friday.
Yeah, Nintendo used to release everything on Sundays.
Yeah.
The Wii U came out on a Sunday. Like software used to be released on Sundays, and they have recently moved to Fridays. I don't know when that happened, like a year ago or something.
Yeah, pretty recently.
Did they do it at the same time that music and movie releases changed from Tuesdays to Fridays?
What a great question. No one will ever know.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it was independent.
I like moving new releases off of Sunday, just because. I mean, I remember picking up Smash Brothers Brawl on Sunday, and then being like, "Great, I've got to go to work tomorrow." And Friday can be sort of an inconvenience because if it's going to be something you have to stand in line and wait at the store, for it to open to get the thing. That you got to take off from work or whatever, but then you've got the whole weekend. So,
So yeah, I think the 17th is probably where. And now, do you think they're going to do a worldwide launch? Do you think 17th everywhere, or do you think they'll stagger it across the week?
oh, interesting.
This is not in part of our
is
$1 million
not part
bet.
of the
This
bet,
is just
right,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Oh man, that's a great question.
I think they
I think
stagger
maybe
it
I was gonna
because
say opposite.
oh, see, I think they stagger it because I don't think Nintendo's, uh, I don't think they're that good at logistics, and partly because they don't have like the bandwidth that
Right.
other companies
Mhm.
do. But I just don't know that they're capable of, like getting through their channels
Yeah.
for worldwide on one day.
What do you think of and I don't know if this is part of your wild card prediction or part of your wish list, about the rumors that the Switch will be region free.
Oh, that's not one of my. It's on my wish list, but it's not one of my wild card rumor. I think I think it probably will be.
Because I mean that almost then, I more or less necessitates a simultaneous worldwide launch, right?
How
I guess
so?
I guess maybe not, but just that like then you could be importing it from wherever it's coming out earlier because they're all the same. It's all they function in all the same regions no matter what.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah,
I don't have a greater point.
Yeah,
behind
yeah.
that,
I don't think that's necessarily problematic. Again, I see your point. And what I think would happen is that in the West, it'll launch pretty close together.
Mhm.
I could see it happening like, earlier or like a little bit later in Japan.
You think later in Japan?
Possibly. Or the other way around, like it launches earlier in Japan and then comes out like a week later in the West.
But later in Europe for sure.
You think so?
I don't know.
I think it could come. I think maybe the West happens at the same time.
Okay.
Like I think those two launches are within like 24 hours of each other.
Sure, that they do like a home release first in Japan and then follow up with everyone else later.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I was waffling with like the date.
Okay.
But I also am not sure what day, if Nintendo also releases in Japan on Fridays, or if it's on another day.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, I don't. It'll be interesting to see.
Item number.
Do you think we're gonna get all this information? Yeah, I'm cutting you off. Are we?
It's okay.
Do you think we're gonna see? Do you think we're gonna get all this information on? We have to, right? On Thursday.
I think we have to at least these two items. I think price and date. Yes, I think that absolutely has to happen. I think our next category is what we think the launch lineup is going to be, and I don't know that we'll even get all of that. But
Now-
maybe the press event or whatever it is also the like green light for everyone else to pull the curtains on for third party supporter to be like also this, also this, also this.
Strictly when we're talking about launch lineup, are we talking day one or launch window?
Day one.
Okay.
Do you want to go first or should I?
You can go first.
Okay. No, this is a radical launch lineup.
Okay.
Mario, Breath of the Wild, Splatoon, Hard Stop.
Whoa. From everybody,
Everybody,
including third parties.
including third parties.
I mean, I think you're crazy. I think you're crazy.
I think we'll see everything else come out at a staggered pace following. And Nintendo like trying to control the conversation with like Mario and Zelda primarily as their like two flagship franchises that everyone's crazy about, and Splatoon as their, you know, competitive entry or like entry in like the esports arena. And then just control the message about those three games.
That would be really interesting. So here's mine.
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm. So we both basically believe this Breath of the Wild is not going to be delayed.
Yeah, and I'm kind of basing this on all the marketing that has popped up at like game stores and even Targets. They have the Switch, and in the key art and on the Switch is being played Breath of the Wild, and it says coming, you know, it's like March 2017, and so I feel like they wouldn't put Breath of the Wild in there if it was not coming day one.
Yeah.
So Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart 8, like the remix, whatever they're doing with it, the new Splatoon. I think we get my Skyrim. And the like remastered version from Bethesda, and I think we get that like weird Ubisoft Nintendo collaboration, like the Rabbids Kingdom
Super Mario RPG.
Yeah, so I think those 5 are my guess.
Okay.
For day one.
So you think that Mario game isn't coming out on launch?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that you know how people were saying Zelda wasn't ready, and so Mario's coming. It would surprise me if they launched with both when you could save Mario just like they were going to save Zelda. Like the rumor was Zelda.
Yeah.
It makes sense to me that they would just save Mario for a few months down the line.
Sure.
And you're still kind of you're launching with a big title. The reason although it makes sense to put Breath of the Wild out there because people have been waiting so long for it and it's anticipated. But it's not a Mario game, right? Like Mario is such a broader audience.
Yeah.
And so I can see the logic of putting Mario on there. Because it's a much easier to sell to because Zelda's a hardcore game. There's no way, there's no getting around it. You know, it's like a game for gamers. And
see, I think that's why they work so well, like in concert with each other. Is that like Mario can be the more casual game that still has like, you know, some sort of meaningful meat on it for hardcore gamers, and then Breath of the Wild, which seems to be even like kind of hardcore by Zelda standards even. Like I think those two games together make cast such a wide net, you know?
Did I say Splatoon?
You did, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Sorry, not to completely ignore the great point you were making. I was just making a mental
I said Splatoon too.
I was just making a mental inventory in my head. I couldn't remember if I had said Splatoon because I think it's coming out. But yeah, I the only reason I would be surprised if they put both on their launch is it seems like you could save one of those for a few months, and so it doesn't, unless they have like a super stacked release schedule for the rest of the year,
right?
Which isn't impossible, but it's just like, what do you have that will compare to a new 3D Mario game?
Pokemon Stars.
Yeah, but I don't feel I don't feel like those are the same our audience.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Right. And I think I wonder if almost like your launch lineup is too good. If you, in a weird way, if you have both of those, like if there's too much noise and one of them gets lost in the mix, from like because from a marketing standpoint,
that's why you only put out 3 games.
I mean, again, like it's a good point. It's a good point.
And recall the Nintendo consoles have been released with less. The Nintendo 64 released with just Mario 64 and Pilot Wings.
Different time.
I know.
Because I mean, the Super Nintendo only launched with 3, right? Pilot Wings, F-Zero, and Super Mario World.
Yeah, I don't know my
Oh,
Super
and
Nintendo launch
SimCity.
well
It
enough.
may have launched with 5 in the US.
Okay. So let's talk about the so you have Skyrim and the Rabbids Mario RPG.
Which is funny to be putting that on there when it's just a rumor.
Yeah, that
A well-sourced rumor, but just as far as we know, but just a crazy rumor.
Yeah, I would believe Skyrim before the Mario RPG.
Ubisoft has just, for the last few
Yeah.
Nintendo consoles, had like one of those weird type games right at launch.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm kind of, and how much the CEO of Ubisoft was talking up the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like they're going to be a pretty close partner. Oh, I also think that we may see, this isn't on my list, but I think we may see the NBA 2K17
Oh, sure.
at launch as well.
I think this is one of the more important things for me, especially of the 3 categories we've talked about. Like, I'm going to buy it no matter what it costs. I guess I don't really care the date it comes out. But like launch lineup is going to be, I'm just excited to see what it hits with day one. I think the only guarantee in my mind, at any rate, day one is Splatoon.
Huh.
I think Splatoon is going to be like partially a proof of concept, and then like I could see Mario or Zelda filling the other role. But I think Splatoon is like the lock.
Yeah, I mean, that makes total sense to me. They really are positioning Splatoon as a big deal, and it is. It's like it's enormously successful
for a Wii U game. Yeah, for sure.
Especially in Japan. So I definitely think Splatoon will be featured prominently, and I assume there's a Splatoon 2 coming eventually, because this doesn't seem to be a new Splatoon.
Well, it'll have some sort of new features.
Oh, totally.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, but it doesn't. I mean, I guess they could be reimagining it as like an Overwatch type thing where it continues on.
Oh, where it's a platform.
Yeah,
that would be pretty cool. I'm also not sure if Nintendo, with like very rare exceptions, if they're really doing just like sequels or like a Splatoon 2. That doesn't.
No, it's really
make
rare
sense.
when it happens. Like, that's why Super Mario Galaxy 2 was so surprising.
Yeah,
because it was pretty much just another Super Mario Galaxy game, and Nintendo
had more ideas.
Yeah, and like, but Nintendo doesn't really like to do direct sequels. Like there's all those interviews with Miyamoto, how he talks about the Nintendo way seems to be developing a like an idea,
Yeah,
and then like
mapping the characters,
mapping
onto
like
it,
the game on top of it. And so it's the reason why we haven't really seen an F-Zero, we haven't really seen a Metroid, is because, and when we saw Star Fox, it was different. It's because Nintendo doesn't, they as a company culture don't tend to just like do, you were saying like direct sequels.
Yeah. Do we want to move on to our next like wild card predictions?
Yeah.
So mine's sort of softly defined. But so my final just prediction here is robust eShop or virtual console support from day one.
Wow.
I think there'll be games on this thing. I don't know exactly what they are, but I think there'll be a decent virtual console library from day one.
So mine is tangentially related.
Okay.
I think there will be a robust eShop on day one. I don't know if they'll delineate the two, but I'm delineating them how they currently do.
Yeah.
As eShop and virtual console. I think there will be a robust eShop. And because it seems like there are a lot of indie developers interested in the Switch.
Yeah.
And Nintendo, it seems like, has been doing a pretty good job of courting indie developers this time around. I think the virtual console is going to be pretty much back at square one, where we're hitting the reset button one more time.
Super Mario Brothers 2. Super Mario Brothers 3.
I think, yeah. So that's my prediction: is that Virtual Console is basically resetting,
Yeah.
and that it'll be a good emulator, because a lot of people complain about the Wii U's emulation.
Mhm.
Because I think it's going to be done by Nerd, which is the same Nintendo entity that did the NES Classic,
Right.
and I think that we will see GameCube games on it, and I think we'll maybe see Wii games. And so I think all of those will be there day one. I think they will be very sparsely populated.
Sure. That'll just be like greatest hits.
Yeah. And that hopefully it'll be more fast this time that we get, like, that the library gets caught up.
Right.
I'm hoping it won't be like the same trickle that we always see where it's like, and now here's Wild Gun Hero. And like, like here's like games we just keep putting on these platforms and somebody must be buying, but nobody really seems Hogan's Alley.
Right. Which is why, I mean, that's and this is actually maybe falls under more of a hope, I guess, than a prediction, but like it would I feel like they know the value of being able to take all of those games on the go or throw them up on the TV. And if they can just throw a bunch of their old games on there, that people will be really excited about that.
Oh,
and
I
it'll be
think.
a good way to move the system.
I mean, I think it would be great. I think, like, I'm kind of what I'm assuming is that they are also resetting the eShop, because now they have like the new My Nintendo accounts to tie everybody to, and I'm guessing the account system is the one that what's the developer that's working with them on
DNA.
Yeah. That, like, that they're probably involved in this like shop process as
Mhm.
well. And so I think they're resetting Virtual Console. I think they would love to have as much as they can as possible, but I think like everything will be new, and so it will take them a little bit of time to ramp up.
Okay. Let's move on to our wish list items. Now, again, these can be as crazy and as out there or as wish fulfilling as we want them to be.
So my first one, can I go first?
Yeah, go first.
All right. So my first one is pretty, like, this one is not crazy. Well, it might be, but I'm hoping it's not.
Sure.
I would love a solid operating system.
Oh, Mark going basic.
That's all I want. I really feel like Nintendo is not great at OS design.
Mm-hmm.
And some of it is like aesthetics that I don't love. Like, even on Super Mario Run, everything is very like Mac OS 10.
Sure.
Like Aqua, where it's like big buttons that are very like bubbly and clicky
bubbles.
Yeah, and it's very it's honestly very like early 2000s, and that's just kind of like the Nintendo menu aesthetic. But their operating systems has always been so slow. The Wii U was terrible when it launched. It's still bad now.
Oh yeah.
But it was way worse when it launched. They released, like, I remember Iwata talking about in, like, I think a Nintendo Direct, like, just that they're releasing an update to make it so much faster. Like, that was a selling point of one of the updates because it was so bad. The 3DS is so, like, the Wii, they're all like just kind of they've ever since they've had to do an OS, it's just kind of been a mess. And I'm not expecting anything as clean as the PlayStation's operating system, which I have always thought worked fine. Discoverability on all these platforms is bad.
Yeah,
but it's at least fast, and that's
and dynamic too. Like I feel like the PlayStation it at least is like bringing things up to you that like feel relevant or is also like presented to you in a graphic way that makes sense and is exciting.
That's like my number one, all I want. And that's why I don't care at all about the Switch functioning as a tablet. I don't want email on there.
Oh, no.
I don't want any of that garbage.
No,
I don't
forget it. No. What?
Like,
no.
Yeah, I don't want any of that. Just, I can see the utility of putting Netflix on there. I think Netflix, Hulu, and YouTube will probably be on there.
Sure.
And I guess the 3DS's operating system it's functional.
Right.
It's
But
just yeah.
I mean, obviously the new 3DS is a lot more able to handle it than the OG 3DS,
Right.
which is just so much slower. Obviously, still running the same basic operating system, but yeah, it's a matter of speed. That's a good one, Mark.
That's all I want. That's really like that's all I want is for it to be fast.
Right.
I just want it to be like launch things quickly.
Yeah, that would be nice. Okay, so my first wish list item is that we finally get the game or whatever software application that justifies the functionality of Amiibo in a meaningful way.
Oh, okay.
So like a Disney Infinity, but for Amiibo or something. Maybe it's like a take on Miitomo that's more robust or something that allows you to use Amiibo in like a meaningful software way. Because I think these things are out in people's houses. They're out in my house, and you know they have been selling super well. I feel like they need to like put some sort of software support behind these things in a real way on the Switch.
Are you I mean, I haven't played either Skylanders or Infinity or like Lego Dimensions or any
Mhm.
of that kind of stuff. But um they've never looked very fun to me.
So, I don't know. Disney Infinity in like its later incarnations is actually supposed to be a pretty entertaining game. Um, and like I like Lego games well enough. That like I could see getting into Lego Dimensions if I had a bunch of it all. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the barrier of, oh, you need to have 100 of these figures is so huge for me for everything but Amiibo because I have 100 of these figures already. Um so yeah, I mean this one is maybe even just a personal wish fulfillment that, man, it would be great to have all sorts of content related to the toys that are already in my house.
Yeah, because I just as somebody who doesn't have very many amiibo, I'm trying to think of a compelling gameplay that would make me
Yeah.
and it's totally fine that if they released a game that was like Disney Infinity, it's fine that that game's not for me. You know, like
Sure.
they don't have to make a game that I'm interested in, but I'm just trying to think of like a game like what
Also,
kind of
just think about it,
gameplay.
like how fun it would be to like come over and just like tap amiibos on, my amiibos on our things and just like get whatever, open world. I'm imagining like Mario 64 style, like you tap in a character and then just like run around the castle as him, collect stars.
Yeah, because to me, the ultimate application for that is in the Nintendo matchups already, like Smash Brothers
Uh-uh.
and
Mhm.
Mario Kart. Because
Yeah,
how cool would it be that anything that's released as an amiibo, you can if you buy it and you can open it up in Mario Kart,
that would be pretty
like
rad.
or Smash Brothers, because Smash Brothers is already in theory. I don't even know if they continue this aesthetic anymore. But the first one, the reason they could justify it was that they were toys fighting each other, not
Right.
the actual characters.
Hmm.
And so that's like a very clear application for Amiibo in Super Smash Brothers. A little unrealistic because you have to balance for each character and do
Right.
different like
Right.
move
Right.
sets. But to me,
That would get Waluigi into that game,
I
though.
know, and that's what I'm saying. It's like to me, that's a compelling way, but a unrealistic way
Right.
in order to do that is like if the new version of Mario Kart was like, and any amiibo you own,
You
you
can
just
put
like,
Shovel Knight in this game.
and that one seems easier because then it's mostly just weight class and a
Right.
skin for that weight class.
Yeah.
But
I'm also, I mean, those are both compelling answers to that, but I'm also willing to believe that there is a type of game out there or an application that Nintendo knows that I don't know.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you got for your second one?
So mine's kind of related to Virtual Console. Actually, it's entirely related to Virtual Console. The second one,
Very good.
I would love to see Mother 3 on this.
Oh, I think you're gonna get that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a launch thing, but like, it's certainly starting to. It's probably just people getting excited about it, getting excited about the possibility. But it does sound like that's coming down the pipe.
Because do you remember when Sin and Punishment launched on the Wii Virtual Console?
Yeah.
And it was like the first time that it was available
Mhm.
in the US. Like, that's just cool.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's just fun when stuff like that happens. And Mother 3 has been such a like unattainable. It's been such an a piece of unobtainium for so long.
I will not tolerate your Avatar references
You
here.
love
I will
Avatar.
not.
I see you, Patrick.
I love the Navi.
But yeah, it's been like, you know, that like windmill that we've been wanting to chasing for so long,
Mhm.
and man, it would just be so great to be able to actually play it.
Do you think I was mulling this idea over in my head? What if it was what if it came out at launch and was a pack-in? It was just on every Switch.
That would be crazy.
Wouldn't that be cool? That
Because-
it'd just be like, hey, all Nintendo fans,
That
here
would
it
be,
is.
That'd be amazing.
This is the only way to get it.
That
Buy the Switch.
would be so cool.
That would be really cool. And it'd be fun to get some context for Lucas finally. And
Yeah, it's like another one of those weird. I mean, same with we were talking about. I think last week or 2 weeks ago, like Marth,
Mhm.
on you know, where it was just like before Fire Emblem hit, it was just kind of like, who's this dude with a sword in
yeah,
Smash
right.
Brothers? What is there any like older game that you would want to see on a Virtual Console that's never been on Virtual Console before?
Ooh, not first party stuff. I don't think.
They're generally have
I think
been
they're
pretty good about like
yeah.
ticking the boxes on first party. There's a lot of third party stuff I would love to see.
Yeah.
Like all the Square and Enix RPGs
Of
from like
course.
the Super Nintendo era.
I mean, if they can put Final Fantasy 3 on this thing, I'm gonna play it. Okay, so my second wish list is we're going to see. It's not going to be like no date given, but Sakurai is working on a new game. It's not a Smash Brothers game. It's a new Kid Icarus game.
That's what you think? It's a new Kid Icarus game?
I think it's gonna be a new Kid Icarus game, and it's gonna have similarly arcadey action combat, like Kid Icarus Uprising, but with all of the control issues fixed.
That's what I was gonna ask, if you think it's like a sequel to Uprising, basically.
I mean, I think in the vein of Uprising, but like with more a tighter focus on like spectacle and like pulling it off on the big screen and little screen, and with it feeling right. You know, twin sticks. It'll have two sticks, so the game will actually play like games play. But yeah, I don't think he's working on another Smash Brothers because the last one basically killed him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we'll see what he's up to, and it's going to be a Kid Icarus game, and I think that'd be super fun. And I think that franchise is also another one that, because of Smash, is like so near the front of players' minds, but like still not like really out there in a meaningful way.
Another one on my wish list is a I don't really even know how to phrase this. Yes, I do. A Metroid game people want to play.
There we go.
Like an appealing Metroid
Mhm.
game. And I kind of feel like this one is just a wish, because
You're giving up hope.
I
I think all Metroid games from here on out will be games that no one wants to play.
I don't know if after Federation Force we're going to see Metroid around for a while. That I don't think they're
Sure.
I just think they're not going to release Metroid games.
Mhm.
I think it's going to become like F-Zero. You know, where it's just like,
man, that's a bummer.
and I think it's just because it doesn't sell well in Japan, and it has continued to sell.
Continued to sell.
Continued to sell precipitously worse in the West. And you can argue that that's because the quality of game has
Mhm.
gone down, but it's like a new Metroid game, unless it's another Metroid Prime, in which case, like we were talking about earlier, Nintendo doesn't really do direct sequels.
Right.
Maybe they will in this. And I would love to see a new 16-bit-esque, like
Yeah.
Super Metroid type game. But again, Nintendo doesn't really give people what they want
They do
for good and bad.
Right. That's it is interesting though that you say like probably not another Prime game. Because Federation Force has, it's not just Metroid Federation Force, it's Metroid Prime Federation Force. Like they're keeping that specific branch of that brand alive for whatever reason. I don't know.
And I think there's hopes that maybe that's like Retro's game that they've been working on.
I feel like they're just shackled to Donkey Kong forever.
You think so?
I don't know.
I mean, I have no idea what they're doing. I would be surprised if it's a Metroid game because a lot of the people that were there when Metroid Prime was
Yeah.
like are long gone.
That's not the same studio anymore. It's the
yeah,
same
it's
thing
really
as
not.
wanting Rare to make a new like Banjo Kazooie. Like, well, those aren't those same guys anymore.
Yeah. And so I don't know if they would even necessarily want to make another Metroid Prime game.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll make another Donkey Kong Country Returns. It feels like it's been a really long time since they finished Tropical Freeze.
Yeah.
So and they're kind of aren't they? They're a pretty big studio, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so. I
So-
mean, those Prime games are huge. So yeah.
So they must be working on something. And I know everybody's kind of like fear is that it's another Donkey Kong Country game. Not that they're bad, but just because
It seems like wasted. Like even when a new Donkey Kong Country Returns is good, it's like okay, but I'm just running and jump. Like I didn't finish the original Donkey Kong Country Returns. I could just keep playing that. So my next wish list item is regarding the new Mario Kart game, the Mario Kart on Switch. Not so much a port of the Wii U game, but a completely new experience that borrows like the best features from throughout the franchise history. So we're talking multiple items. We're talking a huge character roster, huge list of tracks, a battle mode that actually works, good online support. Like it's like the Mario Kart of our dreams.
I think you're potentially getting literally everything you listed in the Mario Kart 8 remix, whatever they're like whatever version they're putting out on
Sure.
Switch. Because in the like Switch reveal video,
Mhm.
they had 2 item boxes.
Right.
They had a new character, King
King
Boo.
Boo. Mhm.
You know, I'm sure if they re-release it, they will have added more tracks.
Mhm.
They will have had plenty of time to make a battle mode. So I think it's possible
Yeah.
that whatever this new version of 8 is,
Right.
it is like this dream game.
This is what I want. If they can make if they can put out a Mario Kart that is like different enough from 8 that I can be I'm I'm going to play it so much anyway. But I would like to be like genuinely surprised by how much stuff there is in it.
Yeah. My question is if they release this like 8 remix or whatever they call it, just Mario, they may just call it like Mario Kart.
Yeah, sure. Or Mario Kart Switch. Like they only recently started putting numbers on these things anyway.
Yeah.
With 7 on the 3DS.
So if there's if they release that, are they making another Mario Kart game? Like what would be the point
of making another one? Yeah, well, and that's sort of why I want this one to be like an actual like step forward. Instead of like just a beefed up version of 8, I want it to be like a incredibly beefed up version of 8.
If it doesn't have a real battle mode,
yeah,
that'll be embarrassing.
I mean, because on the Wii U, have you played the Mario Kart 8 battle mode at all?
I think a little bit, but
it's a disaster. Like
the Wii one's not great either.
No, I mean, like it hasn't been good. I don't know, 20 years? Like when's the last good Mario Kart battle mode?
Oh man, I don't even know. Like I don't even like the DS one isn't
the DS
terrible.
one was okay, I think.
Yeah, but a lot of it comes down to so what they ended up doing with like the Wii one is they added like the coin battle one where you're like trying to gather a lot of coins.
Yeah.
And they made it like random, like which, and like the classic like lose the balloon one
Yeah.
just wasn't like the level design was bad.
It
just
just
wasn't
it's
as
clearly been
interesting.
an afterthought for a long time, and like, man, I just want like a reason to go in and do it and play it, and
Because 8 is a great Mario Kart, and it would be an amazing Mario Kart if the battle mode wasn't awful.
That's right. I would also like this is as a sub wish list on this. I want more F-Zero stuff because there are 2 F-Zero tracks and an F-Zero kart in Mario Kart 8.
Are the F-Zero tracks are not F-Zero tracks, right? They're like
modeled after
okay.
Mute City and Big Blue. And the kart is the Blue Falcon. But I'll also, and this is maybe the furthest reaches of what's actually possible, but I want to see some Diddy Kong Racing content in there as well, as part of the classic tracks.
That'd be cool. Do you still call it Mario Kart?
Yeah.
Or just like Nintendo Kart?
Oh, that's...
And get everything in there.
Maybe that's what you call it. You call it Nintendo Kart, and then everything is in there, and then you're racing through Excite Truck and Wave Race and all that good stuff.
What do you think is the game that Nintendo has created that sells us on the feature of the Switch in the vein of Wii Sports and Nintendo Land?
You mean in that like it could not have been done any other way but on this hardware?
Yeah, where you're like, here's a game that like features, like the tablet, like asynchronous. Because when the Wii U launched with Nintendo Land, it was like, oh, asynchronous, not asynchronous, but like the multiplayer is different, right? One person has a tablet, other people have the controller. So here's like games you can do with that. Wii Sports was like, here's how you play Wii, like yeah.
You swing a thing and then your family's all happy. Geez, I don't know. I feel
seems like it has to involve multiplayer.
I think it has to involve multiplayer, and like I think it's a Pokemon game. Like a Pokemon game that when you are home and you're playing it, it's like a deep experience in like a Pokemon world, and there's a deep story, and then you go out into the real world and fight and trade against real people when you take the thing on the go. Like to me, that seems like the no-brainer of it. But I don't know. Do you have one?
Not really. Because again, I think it's like Nintendo Land or Wii Sports, where once we saw it, we were like, oh, this makes sense.
Yeah.
But I don't know if the Nintendo Land ever did that, which is partly why the Wii U was a tough sell. But with Wii Sports, it was like, oh, yeah, obviously. And so hopefully, with the Switch, it'll be like, oh, yeah, obviously. This is an obvious application.
Yeah.
We won't know we want it until we see it.
What's your last wish list pick, Mark?
My last wish list pick is sports games.
Sports games.
I want to see straight up sports games on the Switch, just like NBA 2K17.
Yeah.
It's an audience that Nintendo has not captured for a long time, and that's purely because EA and 2K haven't been putting their games on the, it's not like Nintendo's choice. And Sonic and Mario at the Olympics just isn't doing it for me.
No, not sport enough.
And I also I don't love sports simulation games. The Madden I played the most of was Madden 97 on the Super Nintendo.
So it's been 20 years.
Yeah. But I think more why I want to see it on there is what it represents for Nintendo.
Yeah. A wider player base.
Yeah, and like better third party, like relationships, because the Wii U had a huge install base, but after a few attempts it stopped getting sports games.
So and a lot of other third party games too, just because they were saying there are a lot of these things out there, but people aren't buying other games for it. And
and I don't even know that, especially on the Wii, that you can even really say that they didn't that third parties didn't try. I think they had a hard time figuring out what maybe like the Wii audience was. Like, do you remember like Dead Space Extraction?
Yeah. It was
Um,
supposed to be like even kind of good for what it was, but
right.
like
But it's like there was that
who's buying that?
yeah, there was that hard in between where it's like, well, anybody who really wants a Dead Space game owns an Xbox or 360 or a PS3,
Right.
you know, so it was hard to find that medium, and the Switch seems like a console that can appeal to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I would love to see sports game on it. What about you?
My last pick is Super NES Remix. The NES Remix games on the Wii U and then eventually 3DS are great little like slices of NES gameplay. Sort of just like bite-sized pieces where it's like collect the 30 coins on the screen, and then like you get a little reward and you move on. Um, I've wanted to see a Super NES version of this for so long, and I think it would be just like one of those like instant home run sort of things where people get hit with all of that 90s Super Nintendo nostalgia packaged in a like fun, quick pick up and play kind of way. And this could even go to the like, it's good on the go because like it's a quick thing, or it can be good anchored to your TV because it's online and there are leaderboards and you're seeing how your friends are doing at it. I Super NES remix.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
There were 2 NES remixes, right?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you have both of them?
Yeah.
Are they different game? Like, is
yeah,
it
they
like,
are different games. Yeah, it's like a dozen in the first one, and then like another discrete dozen in the second. Yeah, they're super fun games. It's hard to like really remember my experience of them because a lot of it is just my tied up with my experiences of actually playing the games the first time around. But yeah, it just like, oh, here's an excuse to have fun with Zelda again. Here's an excuse to have fun with Mario 2 again. And just like teaching where it's like just beat this boss, and then this is something I've actually found while playing the NES Classic, that when I then encounter those bosses, I'm like, oh, I got this. I know how to do it. I trained on it. So yeah, I want a Super NES remix.
My bonus 5th one.
Oh, okay.
Just real quick, my bonus 5th one is I want a new Wario game that's not, and I love WarioWare, so I would take another WarioWare just as fast as I'd take another Rhythm Heaven game. I think they're both great.
Yes.
But I just want a new Wario platformer.
That sounds great.
But I want it to not be developed by Goodfeel because I don't love their platforming mechanics.
Okay, so whoever gets the most right of this owes the other
$1 million. $1 million. Please put it in the book.
It is in the book, and it is now official. Let's move on to this topic. All right, so we're going to do reader mail. Listeners, reader mail. Readers, listener mail. We're going to do some mail. We've got a question today from Ethan. Ethan writes into the podcast, just of course like you can, just by writing into Nintendo Cartridge Society at
gmail.com.
No mistakes there. And let us know any questions you got for us. Here's how Ethan interprets that. Ethan's email reads, "Hi guys. There is a common joke that Mario is just a guy on hallucinogens, citing the fact that he eats mushrooms and flowers and grows and shrinks a la Alice in Wonderland. He flashes different colors, and the general nonsensical plot of an Italian plumber rescuing a fairy tale princess from a giant turtle that is covered in spikes and red hair." Good point, Ethan.
Great point.
Likewise, there are countless game mechanics that make just as little sense in the real world, but are helpful game mechanics, e.g. the ability of a player to digest bullets or otherwise regenerate health in shooters, waiting for that red tinge on the screen to go away. Sometimes these mechanics are explained away by the game. The example he gives here is the desyncing from the Animus in Assassin's Creed. And other times they're incorporated into the plot of the game. He wants to know if what are some of our favorite examples of game mechanics in Nintendo games or whatever that either have a good like real like in-game explanation for how they work, or that just totally make no sense and are crazy. And the one that comes to mind first, and I know we were just talking about Wario, but it blows my mind that Wario eats whole cloves of garlic, and that's how he heals, is by eating just a fistful of garlic, uncooked, not seasoning anything, just shoving a clove of garlic into his face.
Raw garlic is supposed to be good for you if you're battling a cold, right?
Is that what Wario is facing off against? It's cold. Dr. Wario.
Dr. Wario.
Dr. Wario.
We need it. Mine is completely unexplainable, but is necessary for it to work.
Yeah.
Is platforming in Super Mario Brothers the ability to change directions after you've jumped.
Oh, absolutely.
The ability to change the directions in the air, it doesn't make zero sense. And when you play a platformer without that ability, it feels terrible.
It feels broken.
You have to like it makes platforming work in those games. It doesn't make a lick of sense.
No, but like totally necessary. I'm thinking of, I'm not even gonna remember this game, but there every now and then you encounter a game that has like a fun excuse or like execution of your character dying and like coming back. I can't think of what it is now. In fact, the idea is just like escaping my head as I'm speaking my way through it.
Well, I like the way that they explain that in BioShock.
Yeah,
as you go back, you go back to the like Vita chambers or something, whatever they're called, where it's just like you've been, because in this society it makes sense, because they have these
plasmids.
Yeah, the plasmids. So they have this like
that was a pull.
That was amazing.
I don't know where that came from.
But like they have these like body augmentations, so it's like, okay, yeah, sure, I buy that. I'm being revived in one of these. It's never like explained in game. It's just one of those game mechanics where you're like, oh yeah, this is my spawn point.
This maybe is skirting the issue a little bit, but in Braid, there actually is no fail state. Like if you fall in a pit or get hit by an enemy and die, you just rewind time to before it happened. So like there's no way that you actually do die. But it's the same sort, like the character does die, but like rather than just start over, you just rewind and like get that back. So that's one that sort of makes sense, maybe not within the fiction, but within the mechanics of the game. What other things like that I like in, and this is maybe less. No, it's a mechanic in Kid Icarus. I'm gonna keep talking about Kid Icarus. That the eggplant wizards throw eggplants at you and turn you into an eggplant. That's one of those nonsensical things that you just say Beetlejuice 3 times and then you turn into an eggplant.
But I have to admit that I prefer this where it's just like gameplay first.
Yeah.
I feel like this idea where they have to explain the game mechanic in the fiction of the world is sometimes such an anchor to fun. And like it's just like, because then when you get into that mode of having to explain everything, it's like Alfred Hitchcock talking about like the plausibles. These are people who like watch his movies and like when they're in the theater, they're just like picking apart everything instead of just taking in like the whole and joining it for like as a cinematic experience.
Right. There are so many things when you see a movie or play a game that you're like meeting the creator halfway on already.
Exactly. And so I feel like once a game acknowledges that it's like, oh, this mechanic, well, let's explain how it works,
right,
or like why it exists, then it gets trapped in having to explain why everything works.
Yeah. And that's not fun.
That's not
you
rarely
lose the fun
fun.
Real fast. It's interesting to think about how Mario power-ups like have either acknowledged this or not. Like when you think about, you get a leaf and that turns you into the raccoon and the raccoon can fly. Okay, so that's like 3 levels of nonsense, right? Like leaf equals raccoon, raccoon equals can fly. None of it adds up. But like in the Galaxy games, maybe Galaxy 2, I think there's a mushroom that's made out of stone, and when you touch it, then Mario turns into a rock. And it's kind of a bummer where you're like, okay, I touch a rock, I turn into a rock, and then I roll around as a rock. It all makes sense, but like, isn't it maybe more fun to collect a bell and turn into a cat, or touch a flower and then be able to throw fire?
Yeah, that one is like never. Like when you were talking about that, I was trying to think of the possible connection between flower and fire.
I mean, they call it a fire flower, but that's just putting the words together. A fire flower is not a thing in life.
Yeah, great question.
Yeah, good question, Ethan. He has a PS. How do you decide? How and when did you decide to say the @gmail.com part in unison? Was it from one of those practice episodes that never aired? I don't remember.
I don't remember either. I think it came out of me not wanting to say the Nintendo Cartridge Society part because it's a very difficult thing to say.
The word cartridge is very hard to say.
Oh, it's a real, especially because they're all longer words.
Nintendo Cartridge Society. Yeah.
So laziness, I think, is probably how it.
Oh, sure.
It sprung forth, like most things, out of
Mark's laziness.
Yeah, out of man's unwillingness to do things that inconvenience them slightly.
So if you ever want to hear more tales of our laziness, please write into Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. I think that's going to do it for this episode of the show. If you, what am I saying here? That's going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Please follow us on Twitter at NinCart Society. And our Facebook page is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. If you have a second, we would love for you to rate and review us on iTunes. We have a theoretical contest in the works here.
I'm telling you, not theoretical.
Okay, the contest is real.
The
Mark
contest
assures
is.
me.
I've been waiting for the NES Classic Edition to become a little more attainable. It hasn't. Gonna have to come up with a different prize. Maybe we'll see what the Switch brings.
It'll be a good prize. Okay?
Yeah, but how do you enter it?
By rating and reviewing us on iTunes, and then just shooting us an email to let us know that you did that.
Yeah.
Then you're automatically entered. We will select a winner sometime. It'll definitely happen. Also, subscribe to the podcast, and while you're there, check out other shows on the What's a Creative Podcast Network. We're proud to be part of that network, and there's other good stuff on there. If you like Mark and mine's opinions, you can check out our conversations about comic books on retconpunch.com. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty, and you can find more of 8-Bit Betty's music on 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying, get us those split spoilers, and thanks for listening.
What's a Creative Podcast Network?